He has a 1-1 count. That one's struck high. Left side. That one's going. That's out of here off the ropes. You have to be kidding me. Fireworks. Here you go.
And welcome one, welcome all inside High and Tight, the flagship show, part of the IA Baseball Network, and glad to have you along as we talk all things baseball from the high school to college and even professional ranks. We've got you all covered here and a fun one at that. Thanks again for joining the show. I am Andrew Brown, and alongside me will be the one and only Kayd Nissen as we get things rolling here. We will be talking about, coming on up, we'll be talking about the state tournament. It has been decided where in the recent future it will be. 2025, it's headed out west. Go west, young man, is what they say. And that's where the state tournament has now been deemed for 2025. And of course, 2026 and through 2028, I believe, is where we have it back in Cedar Rapids. So looking at it, it sparked quite a bit of debate, and we're going to dive into that here coming on up. But first and foremost, before I go any further, I want to thank everybody for liking, sharing, spreading the word, and all sorts of things like that. I do have a little tidbit. We are set to go for the Iowa High School Baseball Coaches Clinic, the annual clinic, which we're there for every year, and it's going to be a fun one too. And by the way, we got another cool giveaway to give you. We love our school crayons, so we brought out the Victus Green Light bat, right? And this will be signed. We'll have it signed, set, and we'll give you more information on that coming on up. So that is ready and set for you. So hey, that's one of the prizes that you could go ahead and get. Again, we'll let you know how, when, where, all that jazz. And of course, as always, hit us up with any questions at iabaseball1@gmail.com or on social media. Hit us up, including the conversation we are about to have. First, before we do that here, it is time for the best thing we saw in baseball today. And although it's not in baseball today, I do want to say that a kind of an interesting stat that I saw floating around social media. We all saw Juan Soto's big, massive contract that he had, right? I mean, good for him. He got what he wanted in the end. He is 15 years well north of $700 million. But hey, it got me thinking, how does this compare to other sports and other big contracts? And you know what? Someone already had beaten me to the punch. And with that here, I bring it up. This is the total amount that Juan Soto is going to earn with the Mets on one deal alone. And as you can see, LeBron James and Tom Brady combined career earnings right now haven't quite matched up to what Juan Soto gets in one foul swoop. Interesting thing, and hey, you know what? To work hard, and you too might get there. But hey, for right now, I bring in my partner in crime, the one and only Kayd Nissen, joining us as we continue on the Insights.com hotline and more. Kayd, glad to be talking some baseball here. I know right now it's in the dead of winter, but still good to talk.
I mean, it's going to be here before you know it. I mean, when I started football season, I thought it was going to be a while, but yeah. I mean, here we are already into wrestling season, and then I mean, we're gonna blink, and then we're gonna be having opening day, right around the corner. So exciting, and I'm glad we got some stuff to talk about for baseball during the dead of winter. I mean, that news came out of nowhere. I was expecting it kind of soon, but I got that tweet notification from the IHSA, and kind of scared me a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what? When I looked at it, I'd heard rumblings that I knew it was going to stay in Cedar Rapids to some degree. I'm going to be honest. Sioux City wasn't in my mind, and so but I'm glad that we'll get into that here. But wow, yeah, that was. I know when we connected, I stopped what I was doing in the middle of work, and I addressed it too. That was pretty fun to see. But Yeah, and so as we have it here, Cade, let's dive right into it. We are right now set for 2025. That is where we will have Iowa High School State Baseball Tournament, which will be in Sioux City. And oh boy, by my estimation, one of the first, if not the first time that we have had that in the state tournament, or at least state tournament in Sioux City, Iowa. So, I mean, for me, that was again quite the announcement here. Didn't know if it would come that now or later, but man, it's finally here, and there's a lot of buzz, man. There's a lot of buzz on it.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I think a lot of comments on it, but I think what was stuck is there was only so many places you could go. I think the
Mm-hmm.
association was in kind of a tough spot, and I mean, when you make a decision like that, it's a lose lose because wherever you put it, you're going to be far away from somebody, and you're going to be really close to somebody else. So, like, I mean, it really it's one of those tough decisions. I'm glad they got it locked into Cedar Rapids for the years after because I mean, I don't know about you, Andrew. I had a great time in Cedar Rapids. I
Yeah,
thought that was a great park, really homey atmosphere. It was a ton of fun. And yeah, I mean, another new spot. I'm excited to learn about Lewis and Clark Park Field, or
yeah.
I'm unfamiliar, but I mean, I'm excited, and I mean, no matter what, we're gonna have a good field, and it's gonna be a ton of fun. I'm curious your thoughts though on everything that
Yeah.
went down.
I think it. I think this is kind of we're correcting the situation a little bit, as in we've had it in Cedar Rapids now 1 year, and it will be in years to come as well. And I kind of think it's due, right? Because the east side of the state has had the chance to sport a state tournament, and now the west side gets to as well. And I'm sure that's not it. I'm sure they weren't trying to appease everybody on both sides in that form, but it kind of has that feel to it in the sense. But I like it because again, we saw Bishop Heelan from Sioux City having to travel 4 hours, and they went all the way to the title game this past season. So I see a lot of people that are I can tell are heavy on the east side of the state, and rightfully so. The only gripe I have with this is that it is again not centrally located, and I think that's the only gripe I'll have, whether it's in Cedar Rapids or Sioux City, is that it's not centrally located. But with the scenario we're at, with the situation that it is unfold, Principal Park is just not available right now, and that we need a venue that is bigger than a high school stadium. I mean, if we could, heck, we would love to do it at Johnston or Southeast Polk. I mean, there's a lot of great places around here, right? But in the end, it needs a venue that can support a state tournament influx of people, and it can support a lot of that baseball infrastructure. And Sioux City can. You got to give a shout out to Lewis and Clark Park, Mercy One Field, as it has recently become. I mean, that's a 3,800 seat stadium. If I'm correct on that, if it still is that, and I mean, not quite Principal Park, but you're 300 to the corners, 400 to dead center. So you're still going to have to muster it out if you want a long ball in there. But in the end, that's where the Sioux City Explorers play. Brendan Duriggy, a former Iowa Hawkeye, he's a member of the Sioux City X's, and as well. And plus, the morning side of the NAIA, they play their home games there as well. So it's a great venue. It honestly supports and does what it needs to. I thought it was a great pick. I thought in the end, again, the western side of the state gets something. They deserve to get at least one state tournament run, and they get that. And it's in a good venue. And I think you're right, Cade. There was just not a whole lot of options, not a lot of fish in the sea to pick from.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I tell you what this does. It makes you not take for granted what Carroll provides, which is that
Yeah,
consistency. And I'm glad the association. It seems like they like going to Carroll. I think that's proving to be a good spot. And I mean, even the city of Carroll has proven that they enjoyed being there. For anyone that is there, they have tons of volunteers. The hospitality is great, and they're putting more and more money into Merchants Park. I mean, they're ripping stuff out. The dugouts are going to be expanded this year, which is super fun.
Yep.
Brand new lights. I'd say that was the one gripe I've had on Merchants Park in my time, is that, it's an older stadium. The lights are a little yellower, but here they go. Now this year we've got those brand new lights. I mean, they have like the firework effect, or this, however you call it, where, I mean, the lights will flash all around. So, I mean, it's just going to make for some cool environment. And as a guy from Carroll, I think it's pretty special that that's there. And it's even more special that they have shown interest in staying there for at least through 2028. So although 3A, 4A, once we find a consistent home for that, then we're set to go. But I tell you what, Andrew, as a baseball guy, it makes me sad that we're still in two separate spots. I wish we could all be in one and celebrating together, because it pains me missing those small classes. So one of these years I got to hop over to Carroll to cover state. But no, it's going to be fun. And I'm glad they got locked in through 2028 through Cedar Rapids. So at least now for the next 4 years or whatever it is, we know where we're going to go. And then after that, you can kind of figure it out. But I mean, I like the spot we're in right now. This year for 3A, 4A is going to be a little bit of an adjustment, but I mean, that's what good teams do, is you adjust and you adapt. And I mean, I think no matter what, we're going to end up with a really fun field and a really fun tournament.
Well, no doubt about that. And again, ladies and gentlemen, give your thoughts. Hit us up, iabaseball1@gmail.com, or just hit us up on social media. We'll be checking that here as well. But yeah, I agree. Chad types in the strobe effect for the lights. Hope to have them for a long, long time. And Chad, I agree with you.
Absolutely.
I mean, and Kayd, you hit it on the head. I would really love it. Ideally, I would love for Carroll to be the center for everything. To be honest, and I'm not taking anything away from from the Quad Cities, or not Quad Cities, from Cedar Rapids, from the River Bandits. I'm not taking away from the phenomenal stadium they have, or Dwayne Banks Field for that matter. But you mentioned it. Gosh, Carroll rolls out the red carpet each and every year. It's a small, it's a kind of a smaller venue, but then again, it's not. It is much. It seems much bigger than what it is, and that's a lot to do to the people that put it on. Because I gotta say, you and I were at a senior all-star series after the season, right? Just seniors, last little hurrah, get to go, and it felt like it was a state tournament. The atmosphere that they provide, the field is immaculate. Everything around there is great. The atmosphere, the environment, and they do so well there. I think that the only thing lacking is the infrastructure to hold more influx of people. And gosh, I really hope that one day that can be alleviated. I don't know how. Somebody smarter than I will have to do that. But I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100% that Carroll does it the best. Carroll, I mean, hands down, bow down to you guys. You've done it right. And so, yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I like talking to the kids that have played there before, that like didn't get to experience it, and you ask them, and like, I feel like when teams in 1A and 2A qualify for state and they've never been to Carroll, they're like, we got to go to Carroll. I mean, I'll admit there's not much to do outside of baseball, but for the baseball part, which I'll say is why you're there, it's an atmosphere that's second to none. And if you haven't gotten to experience it, it's pretty incredible. But even Cedar Rapids last year, I thought that environment was really good. Love those, like, I love those parks that are bigger. I mean, I can't imagine a state tournament being held at like a high school park. So I like those parks that are bigger, but not so big where it's like cavernous, like where there's just like tons. And I know Principal's sexy and provides that minor league huge stadium feel. But when you're in that tight environment and it's packed and it's loud, and it just makes every pitch feel that much more important. So I mean, there's win-wins on each side of it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for all classes this year, and obviously Carroll's locked in, and 3A, 4A, they're locked in too for the next 4 years. So, I mean, buckle up. It's going to be a ton of fun, and it's going to be curious how the field adapts in 3A, 4A. It's going to be fun if we get a few of those Eastern Iowa teams getting in, whether it's 3A or 4A, getting in, because I mean they've had to travel a lot over the last few years. So if they get to play what is seemingly a home environment, man, it's going to be fun. And those are the state tournament games that are always electric is when you get a team in close proximity hosting someone who's not, and it's a big part of it. I mean, the crowd can cause some changes even in baseball.
And you saw that with Marion last year being close by.
That's what I was thinking of.
what a crowd they brought. Kennedy brought the crowd, and that was electric there. It was fun. And I will say too that everybody who was there at the state tournament, and you made it great. It was an electric atmosphere for both parties. But I agree. It'll be interesting to see what now when we reflect on the other side of the state, what that how many teams could potentially get there. Because, one of the stats I found as I looked through and I saw, I dated this back to 2010 because it took way too long for me to go even further. But I look back at it and, you look at what's happened recently, and Eastern Iowa has shown out a ton, especially when it comes to 3A and 4A. You've seen a lot of those teams, Central Iowa and Eastern Iowa, kind of dominate the conversation in a sense in that class. Or in those two classes especially. But, when it comes to giving love to the western side of the state, I agree. That should happen. In the end, what you have dating back to 2010 is the western side of the state. And now I say this roughly from, I drew an imaginary line here, Kate, from right around Algona on to about to Sioux City, to the end of Iowa there on that side of the state. And again, for those who think my map skills are horrible, let me know. Let me know here. But I kind of drew the line at Algona on down, and I wasn't perfect all by my stats here, but on average since 2010, right around five schools across all classes, 5 schools from the western side of the state have made the state tournaments, whether from 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A, right? So in the grand scheme, not a ton, but I will say the majority of over 50% of that has come from the 1A, 2A side of things. So it's not going to really factor in here, but you have teams like even Benton, Heelan, Lawton Bronson, Alta Aurelia, who we've talked about a couple times here. Those are schools at MOC Floyd Valley. Those are schools that are really kind of out towards that left western side, but that's, again, back to 2010. It's been roughly 5 teams from the western side, as I draw the line, that have made state tournaments all across each class, all across the classes here. So it does show that Western Iowa does have a baseball presence. Now, lately, has it been what Eastern and Central Iowa have produced? Maybe not. But then you have teams like Bishop Heelan that have really put on forth. Sioux City East was 1 game away from making it themselves. So I think it's worth noting that I say that because it's worth having it on the west side of the state at least once, and that in the end, whether it's Cedar Rapids or it's Sioux City, somebody's driving 4+ hours just to get to a game, right? So we're going to have that. I almost guarantee it here coming up. So either way, how you dice it, I think that the argument on travel, it's like, in the end, unless it's Central Iowa, you're going to get somebody who's traveling further than others.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, it's kind of like beating a dead horse, but it is what it is. And I'm going to be someone. I mean, there's been a lot of criticism on Twitter with any big decision like this. There's going to be people who dislike it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just going to go in with an open mind. I'm excited to see a new field and a new environment. And I think in the end, I mean, the people that are going to go are still going to go. I think that's the thing too. I mean, this is the state tournament, and those fans are loyal than anything. And I mean, especially those Dubuque schools that are just powers and consistently in it. I mean, it could be 8 hours away, and they're going to bring a crowd, and they're going to be loud. So, yeah, I mean, there's obviously winners and losers, if you want to call it, in this scenario, but I mean, it's a 1-year thing, and like you said, that Eastern Iowa has kind of dominated the host side of things in 3A, 4A. So it's a good mix up, and yeah, I'm just pumped to get the season going. I think we're still going to have a great field, and 8 teams in each class battling out, especially in 3A, 4A. So I mean, the game on the field is not going to change.
Oh no, and I agree there. On average, especially in the upper classes, what you see is more Eastern Central side, roughly 50% or higher, that do make it annually to the state tournament. And but again, you're going to get the variety. It's going to happen. And I'd be hard pressed. I'm with you. I'd be hard pressed to find somebody that says, "Man, I'm not going to go to a state tournament game. I'm not going to support my team. I'm not going to do that." Like, no, this is something that's big. This is something that's never earned or never. It's always earned, but it's something that's never guaranteed. So, I mean, take it with a grain. In the end, I go back to Principal Park, but Principal Park. People keep questioning that, and a source told me that in the end, and we'll talk with Andy Umpton of the Iowa High School Athletic Association later to talk to see kind of how Cedar Rapids got that kind of a contract, and yet, what we have here with Principal Park not being able to get there. But from the grapevine, what I have heard is that with the I-Cubs being 3A, there's more of a spotlight on them. And since Major League Baseball is running the show, they're holding the schedule tighter there. And so in the end, it's a lot of use on the field. It's a lot of wear and tear. And again, it's with it being half now, just 2 classes, you would think it's all right. It doesn't take as much. But in the end, sometimes, it seems like the MLB is just not listening at this point, and they're just putting their heads down and saying, nope, we're going off the old model with 4 classes. We don't want 8 days of this team to be on the road. And, despite the schedule that normally brings for a 3A squad, I mean, they play 4 or 5 games in a series. Nevertheless, that's how it's put out there. Honestly, I don't think that Principal Park will be part of the state tournament action even past the Cedar Rapids contract right now. I don't foresee that happening. I think Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, Sioux City, we're going to be looking at those 3 for quite a bit, especially with 3A, 4A. And I hope never for 1A, 2A. I again, Carol, you win. You've won this. I feel like I'm a homer here, Kayd. I just being there for 3 games that I broadcasted there, I already feel like it's the better setup. But yes, overall, I don't think we're going to get any wrong here. I mean, the state did what they needed to do. They got the venue, and in the end, that's what you have to do. So, I think the association did what they could with what they had.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're definitely listening. It's not something we're like, they're not trying to upset everybody. They're trying to make the best decision for themselves too. And this year, it just so happened to be where it's out there. But yeah, I mean, I'm super pumped for Carroll. I mean, it seems like the ball's in their court, and it's kind of theirs until they prove that they can't have it. And like you said, the hotels and stuff is a situation, but teams figure it out. I mean, it's been there. Yeah. I mean, shoot, how long? It's been there 4 or 5 years by now, and they figure it out year in and year out, and you get those teams traveling from across the state. And I tell you what, I mean, even look at Carroll. That's not really a central location. I mean, last year for those 1A, 2A, we didn't really have a team like near Carroll making it. And I mean, you talk to the people there. Yeah, I mean, you talk to people there. It was still packed. It was still loud. The environment was still nuts, and those communities are still going to support their baseball program. So that's one thing I'd bring up. I remember looking at the Carroll site last year, and there was really nothing. Usually, you have 1 or 2 kind of close, but I mean, it was one of those situations where no one was totally near, and you still saw a great tournament put on. So I wouldn't knock it. Don't knock it until you try it. So I'm excited for Sioux City to get its shot, and hopefully you don't have to deal with the rain like we did in Cedar Rapids last year. I love Cedar Rapids, and we even had to deal with hours and hours of delays, and I still had a ton of fun.
Oh man. And you know what? I think baseball has baseball's that superstitious sport, and I do believe that baseball, the baseball gods corrected itself just a bit, and Carroll got one of the longest game in Iowa School State tournament history. So and so man, what if that, again, phenomenal venue for all over. Chad chimes in, 2021, it came back to Carroll. 2025 will be our 17th time hosting since the tournament started in 1946. That is something that, again, here's from Chad here talking about that. But yeah, a 17th time. And honestly, Kayd, I know that you've done a good job at putting yourself outside, having grown up through Carroll. But I think you've done a good job of being neutral with this. But again, it seems like this is a site that maybe we should have thought about beforehand. It feels like we went oops, with Principal Park a little bit because what Carroll brings is something interesting. But the 17th time that the state tournament will be in Carroll, and again, again, everybody's gotten their shot now. Everybody's looking at it, and I agree. You're looking back, I looked at the teams, and you had teams from Akron Westfield, Remsen, you had Bedford, teams on the far end of the western side of the state make it. And, I got jealous a little bit. I got jealous just a little bit of the atmosphere that they provide. But again, Cedar Rapids will be just as fun as we get through the 2026 and beyond. But again, ladies and gentlemen, continue as we start to wind down here. Continue the thoughts and more likes. Spread the word. Give us your thoughts. And again, you can always check us out wherever. On Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. I don't think Vine's a thing anymore, Kayd. And if it was, maybe we'd have it there too. But we are everywhere. And I know that the season will get here soon. But again, please keep it here for high school baseball news, stats, more, everything in between. And again, catch us at the coaches clinic. And again, if you do, you could win a green crayon. Kayd, I loved how they started coming up with this. I don't know, I don't know what color you would really go for, but I went with the green, and mainly because blue and red were taken. So I
I don't think you'd ever get out if you got to take at bats with that, Andrew. Yeah,
you know what? I do. I gotta look at it. Last year we did the glow in the dark bat, and I kind of got a little jealous of that. But in the end, I should test it out. Quality control.
Yeah, there you go.
Need to make it happen. But oh man, Kayd, anything else for the good of the cause, man? I mean, this is something that I feel is great. I think it's great to happen. And, the stats bore out that, teams come from all across the state, from the eastern to the western side, and, Sioux City is primed to host it, got the infrastructure, got the field, got everything ready to go. And I know that the folks on the western side of the state are going to roll out the red carpet and try and match what Carroll brings, but nonetheless, it's gonna be a good time nonetheless.
Yeah. Final thoughts. I know it's like middle of the off season. I'm just like thinking in my head of the teams that like you're looking to capitalize on this, and I personally think it's Sioux City East. I mean,
yep,
that was a youthful team last year. That team did not lose a lot, and they were one game away. Obviously, fell to DCG, but they're right there, and they were 7 innings away from making it. So I think it teams like that are just waiting to capitalize and jump on this opportunity. And I think of like Lewis Central, a team just that hasn't quite made it yet, but I mean, they're always in the thick of it. They're always a competitive team, and they're someone else who'd benefit from being over on that side. So I'll have to think a little bit more, and I know I'm not getting everybody, and I'm sorry if I'm missing obvious ones. Andrew, you can chime in too, but I just like thinking of teams that this year could be a chance to capitalize, because if one of those teams make it, that's a huge advantage, like we've been talking about with the crowd. So it's something to definitely follow throughout the year.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. I'm locked on all those teams you mentioned as well, but also teams like MOC Floyd Valley, who we've seen. For me, they a new coach here last year, coming into another year with that. Of course, Heelan as well. We'll see where they're at, but teams that historically have been close, also like Woodbury Central. And other teams in that mix. Sioux City North had kind of a good run. We'll see where they end up as well. But yeah, teams that have been there, and of course the teams that have the chance, that have kind of been knocking on the door, and it'll be interesting, because this is the time. The time is now to try and take advantage of that a little bit. And like you said, as we have seen, the crowds just amplify when you're close. And but again, I am glad that it's kind of a somewhat smaller-ish venue because we saw it last year, and we saw it especially at Dwayne Banks Field in Iowa City. You felt energy throughout the entire state tournament, and that's what I feel that's what we're gonna get again. But yeah, anywhere from Sioux City East, North, Heelan as well, MOC, Floyd, all those guys, all those teams. Again, an average of 5 teams from the west side of the state make the state tournament every year, and that's across 1A through 4A. This is the chance, if you're going to be in 3A and 4A, kind of step it up here, add to those numbers, because it's been primarily 1A and 2A that has had that mark. But yeah, make it happen. This is your time. And for all those who are kind of hesitant about it, it's a fantastic venue as well. You're not going to be disappointed. It does provide where, if you're going to hit a home run, you're going to be a tape measure type of thing, right? Because you're going to have to muster it out of there in order to get that. But yeah, I think we got some power bats that will make that happen in 3A and 4A. So let's make it happen again. That's for sure.
No doubt. Let's do it. Season's around the corner.
All right. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, again, your thoughts here. Make it happen. Give love to Carroll as much as you can, and give love to Sioux City 2025 after that. And for a few years, it will be in Cedar Rapids once again. But for Kayd and myself, Andrew, thanks for joining us. If there's anything that you need more of, anything that you missed, hey, go rewatch this again on IA Sports YouTube as well. Make sure to go under the live tab, I believe, and you'll be able to find us there. Plus, we'll give you highlights across social media as we go throughout this week, next week, and beyond. But hey, it's heading westward, and that's where we'll be come state tournament 2025. But Kayd, sorry for your Sox again, losing the pitcher, but nonetheless, just
we're winners today. We're winners. It's changing now. I'm still rocking them. Don't worry. It's not going anywhere.
I love it. True fandom right there. And hey, again, fans, make sure you get involved. The State Baseball Coaches Association Clinic, January 17th, 18th, we'll be there. And of course, get your name into the drawing. Hey, Kayd, thanks again for joining us. I wish I could put that fast forward button, man. I need to get through there. I need some baseball in my life.
Content will be wrapping up before you know it. We'll be starting to push more and more out, so it's gonna be fun. But yeah, it's right here.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, again, keep it right here. There, plenty more content coming your way here. We got some interesting stats, tidbits, and more coming up. Plus, turf fields. Are they here to stay? Are they the best thing? We'll have more on that coming up as we go throughout the weeks as well. But for myself, Andrew Brown, Kayd Nissen, thanks again for joining us. And as we like to say, stay safe on the base paths. Thanks again, guys.